Good day, everyone. We are the Group 4, and our topic is kinds of obligation. And we will be discussing the unilateral versus bilateral, real versus personal, determinate versus generic, civil versus natural, legal, conventional, and penal. And also, we will be discussing the primary classifications, which is the pure and conditional. So, obligations are legal duties that require a person to give something, to do something, or not to do something. They may arise from law, contracts, or agreements between parties. Classifying obligations help us determine who is bound to perform and what exactly must be performed. So the first one that I will be discussing is a unilateral obligation. It is when only one person is bound to perform a duty. The other party has no obligation but may simply enjoy the benefit. For example, in a pure donation, the donor is the only one bound to give, while the recipient or donee is not required to give anything in return. So next, I will be discussing the bilateral obligation. Here, both parties are bound to each other. This is very common in contracts since both sides usually exchange duties and benefits. For instance, in a contract of sale, the seller must deliver the goods while the buyer must pay the price. Both sides are equally bound. Next, I will be discussing the difference between the real obligation and personal obligation. So first, I will be discussing a real obligation refers to the duty to give or deliver a specific thing. The focus is not on performing an act, but on transferring something tangible, such as ownership or possession of property. For example, if I sell you my car, I am obliged to deliver that exact car to you, not just any car. So it means you need to deliver the exact car that he wants and not any car. Next is the personal obligation. A personal obligation, on the other hand, refers to the duty to do or not to do something. Here, the obligor's performance is based on an action or restraint, not on giving an object. For example, if a singer agrees to perform at a concert, that is an obligation to do, while agreeing not to work for a competitor is an obligation not to do. Okay, so for the comparison table, this table shows the comparison between the types of obligations. The unilateral means only one party is bound, while bilateral means both are bound. Real obligations focus on giving or delivering something, while personal obligation focus on doing or not doing an act. These differences help us understand their practical application in our daily life. For the conclusion, to conclude, unilateral versus bilateral obligations are based on the number of parties bound by a duty, while real versus personal obligations are based on the nature of the prestation or obligations.
Hi everyone! I'll be discussing about determinate versus generic and civil versus natural obligations. So first, let's talk about determinate obligations. So a determinate obligation exists when the thing to be delivered is clearly identified and specific. Dito, so the debtor must deliver that exact thing. So hindi siya pwedeng mag-substitute ng ibang item. Kahit pa sabihin natin mas mahal, bago, or maganda ang value na to. So I will give an example for this one. So the obligation is to deliver the red Toyota car with plate number ABC123. So ito ay determinate kasi hindi lang siya basta kahit anong kotse, hindi lang din siya kahit anong klaseng Toyota car. So may specific siya na kulay red Toyota na may plate number na ABC123. So, dito, kung ang debtor is magdi-deliver ng Toyota car, kahit pa sabihin natin mahal, bago, or maganda, ito ay may karapatan na tanggihan ng creditor. So, bakit? Kasi ang nakasaad sa agreement or obligation is yung particular na car na dapat yon. So, dito sa determinate obligations, mahalaga na ang identity ng mismong object is nandun. Now, we have generic obligations. So, a generic obligation is when the thing to be delivered is not specifically identified, but it is only described by its kind or class. So, dito, the debtor doesn't have to give one exact object. So, pwede siyang mag-deliver ng kahit anong item na pasok sa category. Basta it meets the agreed quality. So, I'll give an example for this one. So, the obligation is to deliver a car. So, hindi nakalagay dito kung anong klaseng car, o anong color, anong model, o anong plate number. Ang requirement lang is basta kotse. So, mas flexible ito para sa mga debtor kasi pwede siyang mag-deliver ng kahit anong klase ng kotse. So, basta ayon yun sa napag-usapan nila. Or kung wala namang specific na quality na nakasaad sa contract, ang batas ang magde-require na ang i-deliver ay something of average quality. So, let's move to civil versus natural obligation. So, first, the civil obligation. Civil obligations are those that are enforceable by law. So, they arise from recognized legal sources like contracts, law, quasi-contracts, and quasi-delicts. So, the important thing here is kapag hindi nag-comply ang debtor, pwedeng pumunta ang creditor sa court para i-compel ang performance. So, may legal remedy at may force of law. So, I'll give an example. So, si A, may utang kay B na 10,000 dahil sa loan. So, kung tatanggi o tumanggi si A na magbayad, pwedeng magsampa ng kaso si B sa court para singilin ang 10,000 na utang na yon. So, pwedeng i-order ng court na si A na magbayad at kung ayaw pa rin niya, pwedeng ipa-execute laban sa property ni A. So, ayan ang power ng isang civil obligation. So, it is supported by court at buong legal system. Now, let's talk about natural obligation. So, ano nga ba ang natural obligation? So, it is different because it is not enforceable by court action. So, it based more on equality and natural law rather than positive law. So, what does that mean? So, it means kapag tumanggi ang debtor na mag-comply, wala nang legal remedy si creditor. Kasi hindi na siya pwedeng magsampa ng kaso sa court para pilitin ang isang payment or ang isang performance. Pero kapag si debtor is voluntary na nag-perform ng obligation, hindi niya na to pwedeng bawiin pa. So, I'll give an example for this one. Si A, may utang siya kay B na 5,000. Pero sabihin natin dahil sa prescription, na ang ibig sabihin is lumampas na ang allowed period na para magsampa ng kaso, is hindi na pwede indemanda ni B si A sa korte. So, at this point, legally unenforceable na ang utang na yon. Pero kung si A, dahil sa moral duty o konsensya niya at nag-decide pa rin siyang bayaran niya si B ng 5,000 voluntarily, valid na ang payment na yon. So, hindi na pwedeng sabihin ni A later on na ibalik mo ang 5,000 ko kasi bird na by law. So, hindi na. Kasi once na voluntary perform na, hindi na siya pwedeng bawiin pa. So, for conclusion, the difference of determinate and generic obligations ay tungkol sa mismong object. So, kung determinate, dapat exacting ang i-deliver at walang kapalit. So, kapag generic naman, nakikilala lang siya by class or kind. Kaya mas flexible ito at pwedeng palitan, basta pasok sa napag-usapan. So, sa kabilang banda, the civil and natural obligations is tungkol sa enforceability. So, kapag civil, may force of law. So, ibig sabihin, pwedeng idemanda at pilitin ang debtor na mag-comply. So, kapag natural naman, hindi siya enforceable sa korte. Pero kapag nag-perform voluntarily, ang debtor, hindi na pwedeng bawiin at valid pa rin yun. So, now, why is it important? Kasi sa mga distinction na ito, ang nagbibigay ng clarity at katiyakan sa ating legal system. So, it ensures na malinaw kung ano talaga ang dapat gawin ng debtor at kung ano ang pwedeng i-expect ng creditor. So, it protects the right of both parties. So, for creditors, they know what they are entitled to, at sa debtors know their what exact responsibilities. At higit pa ron, it prevents misunderstandings and conflicts kasi malinaw kung enforceable ba ang isang obligation o hindi at kung ano man ang sakop ng batas.
So let's proceed to the three other kinds of obligation based on the secondary classification. Let's discuss first the legal obligation. It is an obligation that arises directly from the law regardless of the consent of the parties, which means kailangan mo siyang sundin kahit ayaw mo. The best example for this is yung mga business owners na nagbabayad ng tax or even as individuals. We are forced to pay taxes even if we don't want to because it is mandated by the law. So, that's basically it. This is to ensure the compliance with public duties and responsibilities. Para mas madali natin siyang maintindihan, I gathered an existing case here in the Philippines that can be an example for legal obligation. The case is Republic of the Philippines versus Sandigan Bayan, GR number 104768 of July 21, 2003. So this case involved the recovery of ill-gotten wealth allegedly acquired by former President Ferdinand Marcos, his family, and close associates. The Philippine government filed petitions before the Sandigan Bayan to recover properties and assets believed to have been unlawfully acquired during Marcos regime. So, ang issue dito is kung legally obligated ba ang gobyerno na bawiin ang nakaw na yaman ng mga Marcos kahit walang particular na contract or kasunduan. Naging ruling dyan ng Supreme Court is yes. The Supreme Court ruled that under the Constitution and existing laws, the government has the legal obligation to recover unlawfully acquired properties by public officials. Bakit ito naging legal obligation? Simply because the state's duty to recover ill-gotten wealth is mandated by Philippine Constitution of Article 6, Section 15, and by laws like RA 1379, forfeiture law. So, that's it for legal obligation. Next is the conventional obligation. It arises from the voluntary will of the parties through contracts or agreements. They exist because the parties freely consented to bind themselves. This obligation is nangyayari dahil may napagkasunduan ang both parties whether it's through contracts or agreements. Examples of this is yung mga loan contracts and lease agreements. So, just like from the legal obligation, I also have an existing case as an example for conventional obligation. I have here the case of PNCC or Philippine National Construction Corporation versus the Court of Appeals. GR number 116896 on May 5, 1997. In this case naman, pumirma ng 5-year lease contract ang PNCC sa family Raymundo for them to use the lot as their rock crushing plant. They agreed for the parang 20,000 pesos monthly rent and nakalagay din na magsisimula lang ang contract kapag may industrial clearance na. So, nakakuha ngayon si PNCC ng temporary use permit pero hindi sila nagbayad ng rent dahil may problema daw sila sa pera and naapektuhan daw sila ng changes in government pagkatapos ng EDSA Revolution. Siyempre, kinasuhan sila ng may-ari dahil hindi sila tumawad sa kasunduan eh. And, siyempre, for the damages na din, and ang mga issues lang naman dito is kailan ba talaga nagsimula ang kontrata? Pwede bang hindi magbayad si PNCC dahil sa financial problem? And tama ba na singilin sila ng renta at damages? Ang sabi ng Supreme Court, nag-start na daw ang contract dahil si PNCC na mismo ang kumilos na parang valid na yung temporary use permit wherein hindi na sila pwedeng umatras or also known as estoppel. They said na hindi raw excuse ang hirap sa pera or any political situation. And ayon sa Article 1266 Civil Code, pwede lang hindi to pa rin ang obligation kung imposible talaga by law or by nature. Pero dito, ang obligation is magbayad at hindi man imposible magbayad eh. Kahit mahirap kasi pwede naman nilang gawan nyo ng paraan. And lastly, of course, valid ang pagsingil ng rent at damages. Therefore, kailangan ng bayaran ng PNCC ang rent, interest, at attorney's fees. So, why is it connected to conventional obligation? It is a kind of conventional obligation because it came from the contract of lease. Also, always remember na ang kontrata ay may bisa ng batas. Kapag pumirma ka, obligado kang tuparin yun. Lastly, for the secondary classification is the penal obligation, an obligation that includes a penalty if the principal obligation is not fulfilled. The penalty serves as a punishment or way para maiwasan or mapigilan ang paglabag sa obligation. It strengthens the obligation by ensuring compliance. Examples are paying damages and late payment penalties. Of course, may case din ako for penal obligation, and that is the Gobonseng versus Unibank Card Corporation noong 2007. In this case, Edmerito and Eduardo Gobonseng were credit card holders with Unibank Card. In the contract, they must pay all the charges shown on their credit card statement within 20 days from statement date without need for demand. If they fail to pay in 20 days, unpaid balance will incur interest of 3% per month and a penalty of 5% of amount due for every month delay. So, hindi sila nakapagbayad and the charges increased. Also, the letters were sent pero hindi pa din sila nagbayad. Kaya naman, nagpunta na sa korte ang Unibank Card. Issues were is the interest rate of 3% per month plus 5% penalty per month on defaults valid, or does it violate Article 1226 of the Civil Code, or is the penalty amount unconscionable or too high? Can the court reduce the penalty under the doctrine of fairness? Well, the Supreme Court held that the contract provision for both interest and penalty is enforceable because the parties explicitly agreed to those terms. However, the court reduced the penalty rate because the 5% penalty per month was found to be excessively high or unconscionable. It was brought down in the Court of Appeals to 1% per month. The interest of 3% per month was upheld under the contract. It is a penal obligation because there is a penalty for non-payment. Now let's move on to the primary classification, and I will discuss the two kinds of it, which is pure and conditional obligation. Since this is just an introduction, I will only give a brief definition for this because the next group will discuss it further. First is yung pure obligation. It is an obligation that is demandable at once. It does not depend on a condition or future event. The creditor can demand performance immediately. For example, paying 10,000 today without any conditions attached. Another example is si Juan nag-promise siya na magbabayad sa'yo ng 500 pesos para sa book na nabili niya sa'yo. Kumbaga, without any particular contract, basta nag-promise siya na bukas na babayaran, ganun. Therefore, pure siya because he promised to pay his obligation. Next and lastly for our group presentation is the conditional obligation. An obligation that depends on a future and uncertain event for its demandability or extinguishment. Until the condition happens, the obligation may remain suspended. It creates uncertainty since fulfillment is not guaranteed. Kunwari, babayaran kita ng 5,000 pesos kung makakapasa ka sa board exam mo. Ito naman conditional obligation is about condition. Therefore, palaging may kapalit before giving or doing the obligation.
So, to conclude our discussion, let's bring together the main points we've learned in this module. So, the classification of obligations under the Civil Code may seem technical at first, but they actually give us a very clear framework on how obligation work in both law and real-life situations. So first, we learned that obligation can be unilateral or bilateral. So, ibig sabihin, it shows us if only one party is bound to perform or if both parties have duties to each other. So, it is important sa contracts kasi most agreements we see in real life, like sales or employment, are usually bilateral dahil may exchange of obligations. And next, we saw the difference between real and personal obligations. So, real obligations are about giving or delivering a specific thing. So, while personal obligations are about doing or not doing something. So, dito natin makikita na ang obligations are not only about objects or money. So, it also actions and responsibilities. We also learn about the determinate and generic obligations. So, determinate means specific. So, identified object must be delivered. Habang ang generic is any item within the same kind or class will do. And for another important classification is the civil versus natural obligations. So, civil obligations is unenforceable in court. So, habang ang natural obligation ay based on moral duty or fairness. So, this remind us that not all duties are legal. So, some are moral. So, this still matter in our relationship and our society. We also have legal, conventional, and penal obligations. So, for legal obligation, come from the law. So, conventional obligation is come from agreements or contracts. And penal obligations is include penalties para masigurado na ma-fulfill yung duty. So, this shows us na obligations can have different sources and penalties make them stronger. And finally, we learn about pure and conditional obligations. So, pure obligations are immediately demandable. So, while conditional ones depend on a future or uncertain event. So, this highlights the role of time and uncertainty in legal relationships. So, for overall, these classifications are more than just theory. So, they serve as practical that's help us understand and apply the law in real-life situations. So, whether it's about collecting a loan, signing a contract, or keeping a promise, so understanding the type of obligation allows us to clearly see our rights and responsibilities. So, that's it for our report. Thank you.